All right, so tell me a little bit about Yeagers, right? Understand, obviously, platform is here, it's live now. What are users able to do on the platform? What are they going to see there? What are they hoping to get out of it?
Yeah, sure. It's an extremely simple platform. We prior developed around 1,000 different AI agents that trade the market automatically, fully autonomously without human supervision, and we simply gave access to the user to use them. So as a user, you log in, connect to your exchange, or just use paper trading account, select the agents that you like, press connect, and that's it, they run. Of course, you can select also how much capital they're trading. For example, give one agent 20 USDT, another agent 100 USDT. And what we also recommend setting up is the deactivate if loss parameter. What does it mean? If the agent loses or dips, so on its P&L chart dips, let's say 20 USDT, it just self-deactivates, and that's it.
Okay.
It's as simple as it goes. A bunch of agents, you come in, you connect, and they run it for you.
Okay. So what are the differences sort of between the agents? Is it more a strategic thing? Is it the types of currency pairs that they're using? Like what's the delineation between agent A versus agent B?
Yeah, so you already kind of partially answered my question. Of course, there's a difference between the different assets they're trading. Some are trading Bitcoin, some are trading Solana, some are trading other asset pairs. That is difference number one. Then the big difference comes from their actual behavior. Some agents would be, we call them kind of high precision agents. Right. So they can sometimes trade once in 4 months, but their win rate is like 80%.
Okay.
And then we have other agents which are trading almost every day, but they would not be as precise. So their win rate would be like 50-50 or maybe even less than that. And yet they're still climbing the curve. So the way they handle the position, the way they choose the entries, which kind of entries they're even choosing, the agents are different on that. And the cool part is that we never programmed that in.
Yeah, because I actually wanted to ask about this. I know that you guys have a really like an interesting approach to how the agents actually get to production or to be out in the wild sort of thing as well. I was wondering if you could share a little bit of details on how that happens.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's our most prized possession. It's this agent creation pipeline. And I think that's the only creation of this pipeline was absolutely necessary for us to be able to do what we do. Because somebody says like, oh, maybe what if somebody steals an agent? Like, we don't really care because we can create an unlimited amount, which is not quick. So let me tell you a little bit about the process. The whole, so we have like 6 big computers. You just have to imagine that. Good GPUs, good CPUs, everything. We launch the pipeline. All we tell to the pipeline is which asset it needs to be trading. Then it pulls all the data, makes the data, polishes the data, reduces the non-stationarity, kills non-stationarity, makes it smooth, make it nice for AI, and all the other secret stuff that we do in order to prepare the data for the creation of the agent. Then the pipeline starts. So there are 5 parts to the pipeline. It starts with making a brain. We took some popular genetic algorithms and we completely rewrote them for our particular cause. So the genetic algorithm, when it creates a new brain, it would see which ones were the previous good attempts of making a brain.
Right.
And then it would try to create a child brain.
Okay.
To make it better. Yeah. And it runs for each asset, it would run, I think, like 200,000 times. So by the end of it, you have a decent chunk of brains to pick from. That would be step number 1. Then, unfortunately, I can't talk about all the steps, but I can give you in a little bit of more vague detail. Another part of the pipeline creates the behavior, right? We talked about there is a brain and then there is the trading rules, so the behavioral part. So another part creates the behavioral part also through genetic algorithms, and then they're paired together with the brain, creating an agent. Then the agent is tested, God knows how many times, a lot of times on different market scenarios, on synthetic data, and then we see the generalization. If the generalization is good and has passed all the internal parameters, then it's selected and then it goes live. After it has traded live, we weed out the ones which are not kind of corresponding to what we expect from them, and then the only good ones are left.
Okay.
So it's a process.
Yeah, sounds like it. But I mean, but okay. why do this, right? It's like, why go to all of this detail, to this depth and energy to go through and actually, come up with these agents to put them out into the wild, right? It's surely there must be a bigger motivation than just doing this here, the game behind the game kind of thing.
Yeah, so there are two parts as an answer to that question. Number one is we were actually building these agents for ourselves. That's what we wanted. We never planned to commercialize it and unveil it at first. We just wanted to create agents that work for us, which they do. But then we realized we actually solved quite a big problem, touching a big amount of the current population of traders. And we saw an opportunity, of course, like a business opportunity. I probably wouldn't have done it if we couldn't make an unlimited amount, if it was like so hard to make one agent that we had to really keep it to ourselves. But because we had made the pipeline that makes them, we're basically able to give it to the people.
Yeah.
That is the first part of the question. Then you're asking like my personal, why am I doing this? Yeah, there is a reason. So this is actually not my first company. It's my second company. I graduated Stockholm School of Economics. My friend and I, we started a business, grew it from $4,000 investment to like $1.5 million revenue in 2 years.
Congratulations.
Sold it. Thank you very much. It was a fun ride, very stressful, but definitely fun. So much so that I wanted to come back to the world of business. And then, so while making the first company, we had two goals. One was to learn how the company is done, learn all the ropes. And second one was to make money. And so the achievement of the first goal kind of came automatically, right? Because you're doing the business. But achievement of second goal, I found myself not really wanting to work for the sake of just the wealth accumulation. It was not, I don't know, it didn't sit well with me. I actually felt very frustrated and kind of sad majority of the days. So that led me to start thinking about what I really want to do in life. And I do like experimentation. I do like to try to solve impossible problems. Like this problem is not very impossible, but quite challenging. But the problem that I want to focus on in the longer term is longevity. So extending human health span, lifespan. And I have, after selling the first company, I decided to apply to every single company in the longevity field just to work as an employee to learn the ropes. By lucky coincidence, I met the top researchers in the field and became good friends with them. So a few of them wanted me to take over the company and run it, which I wanted to do at the time. But after seeing the whole thing from the business perspective, I realized that it is much better to make a really good project outside of the field and then bring my personal resources into the field.
Understand.
Yeah. They really struggle with financing in there, and there is no ROI.
Of course. Makes sense. Yeah.
We're solving longevity when we're not solving, right?
Yeah.
So it's really slim chances of success. And so my plan with this is, you're asking about my personal plan, is I want to grow it into a sizable company, make a lot of people happy and solve a lot of problems, and then either exit or some kind of a dividend, so I could start investing into the longevity field. Because some experiments, the longevity field, just because I don't think many people know this, it costs $1 million per person per one trial.
Right.
So you got to be able to finance it. And
yeah, absolutely.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I guess in order to be able to do that, one of the usually the best ways in business is to help other people make a lot of money. And it sounds like, you have the makings of some agents who can do that. But I do want to just drill into the agents a little bit more here, because I find it really quite fascinating. So when we talk about the training, and I understand you have some proprietary things and we can't really get into it, but I know that from other trading bots, not necessarily suggesting that you're doing this, but the trading bots, applications of AI trading, I guess if you want to sort of frame it that way. Backtesting is one of these things that inevitably comes up, right?
Yeah.
Which is you're sort of looking at historical data, and you're applying the models, and then trying to see whether you can beat it based on the rules that you sort of input into the agent, and then sort of run it through the data over a period of time. Don't divulge if you're not able to, but I'd love to get a little bit of insight as to whether that's part of the process and how that shows up for the Yeagers agents.
Yes, of course. So we have. Not to mix up, we have two types of agents. One type of agent is based on ML, so machine learning, right? There's a brain that is machine learning network machine learning model, can be a neural network, cannot be a neural network. That is one type of agent. And second type of agent is the one based on LLMs.
Right.
With LLMs, there's a different story. So when we're talking about the first, we call them Gen 4 agents. So that's the ML, more traditional AI agents.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a lot of backtesting involved. You need to run through multiple stages of backtesting, multiple ways of backtesting as well, and really want to mix and match the data. But when it comes to LLMs, for a consumer, that would not be possible to backtest, and there are two reasons for it. The reason number one is that it's bloody expensive.
Yeah.
Imagine invoking LLM, let me say like 30,000 times, and let's say your average is, even if it's just 5K, the bill is going to rack up pretty quickly. So we still do test for the models that we employ on our own capital, but for the consumer, it's just not viable. Then the second reason, you have to think about what an LLM actually is internally. It's a scraped internet condensed into tokens on which you then train the network. So by default, it's a very overfitted model on the internet. Overfitting here is the keyword.
Yeah.
It knows all the past. So let's say you're trying to backtest and it's backtesting Bitcoin. Obviously, the network already knows what Bitcoin did in the past. So if this information leaks in any way, and it can be multiple ways, even if you hide the data that it's not 70,000, but you reduce it by some kind of a multiple, it can still figure it out, and then the backtest looks, voila, incredible.
Sure, by instances of news articles or people talking about it, or the number that it has in its corpus. Yeah, I understand.
Exactly. So that creates a problem with backtesting LLM systems. So what we do, it's better to forward test the systems. So you start with paper trading, you forward test, and then you see if the behavior of this agent is what you're expecting, then you can launch it on live. Otherwise, like backtesting, unfortunately not viable in this day and age, and also does not make sense.
Yeah. But okay, so is there inherently then, we talk about sort of the two different models of agents, some with the more of the ML background, some with the LLM framework as well. Is one inherently better or worse than one another for this sort of application? I mean, is it worth exploring? Is this something that you guys are doing, or how does that show up for you?
It's actually a very interesting question, and here's why. We talked about the two parts already, right? There is a brain, and then there is the trading rules. So the ML is far superior in the prediction, so in the brain.
Yeah.
But the LLM is far more superior in the trading rules because it has unlimited types of decisions it can do, right? It can act sort of like a human when managing a position, but it's really bad at predicting.
Sure.
So this is the fundamental difference that we see, where the LLMs are good for one case, where you're trying to build a strategy that is more trading rules based versus the ML, which can predict better because it's just unbiased.
Yeah.
So it's fun to see. Definitely would be interesting if we could actually combine those, like an output of prediction from one and then the position management.
Yeah, I mean, of course, because we were speaking about this. We were speaking about this earlier, right? Where you mentioned that humans are intrinsically good at predicting the outcomes, but are notoriously bad at the emotional side of things that we, as mere mortals, get caught up with. But if you're saying that the ML is bad at one component of that, and then the LLM is good at another component of that, then it sounds like an interesting proposition, perhaps.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, that's a good idea coming from you. We might actually try it because we never tried to pair them together. You know what? Also, what's interesting to me that we have not seen yet, but might be the case, is think about it. So LLM is basically a compilation of human knowledge, with all the knowledge being facts and all the knowledge being emotions.
Yeah.
So I wonder whether the LLM, when we launch it to many users and then we do a study on it, will show the resemblance of something like fear or something like greed.
Yeah.
That would be very interesting to see.
To look at it in the chart data as opposed to...
Whether it's like, I'm scared and we're seeing this behavior. It's basically statistically exhibiting the same behaviors as taking profits early and really sitting at a loss, hoping for it to recover.
Yeah.
We don't see it yet because I think we might be biasing our LLMs quite a decent chunk, because simply we're infusing it with all sorts of human knowledge on how to trade like a pro. But if we didn't, and we launch a huge study, which I think is only possible with users, to see whether it will exhibit human emotional baggage in its trade position. That could be fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll do that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Worth checking out. I'd be curious to see.
Yeah.
But just sort of circling back to the LLM side of things as well, right? So, obviously, you mentioned the most of the general purpose LLMs, state of the art LLMs, ones that household names people are familiar with, and so forth. Given that they're trained on a corpus of human data, if you will, with that, and you mentioned that at least on the agentic side of things, or the agent side of things rather, that you have that these agents are much better at following trading rules in the LLM sphere as opposed to the machine learning side of things. So then my question to you is, what's to stop somebody from coming in and using, say, Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini or whatnot to come up with their own agent to follow these trading rules? If, as you've said, they're trained on all of this data, surely some of that data is good alpha that could be applied here.
Yeah, honestly, we're seeing quite many projects like that, and I really respect people who are building their own systems. So I've seen quite a few trying something with OpenClaw and then Claude Code to launch their own agent. I think if those people really persist, then they might actually have something very interesting on their hands. It's kind of like a new evolution of people building quant models at home to now building something like a personal agent. And I think that is perfect for people to do, and I think they should do it, because the more players we have on the market with various types of behaviors, the better overall the market is going to be, and the more interesting the market is going to be. On another side, we have seen many of these projects kind of screen through the data they present and the behavior of agents, and because we are ourselves building similar systems, we can see that unfortunately it is not done well. The person is biasing the model a bit way too much into a certain direction, so the model is seemingly doing something and providing reason for it, but that reason is unfounded, because LLMs like to bullshit. They do. So I've seen only one good example, I think, on YouTube, where a guy did manage to create something that is profitable and works really well. And I'm hoping that's going to be the case. For us, we are sort of giving the same type of functionality, but you don't have to build anything and you just talk to it. Just like in Claude Code, you talk to it and then it makes you a system. We already have all the system components like Lego blocks, and you by talking to it, you can just grab another one, take that data, so make it simpler to sort of build what the people are already building. But hey, I'm loving that people are experimenting with it. I would love for them to try something less focused on the signal, because we see this like signal, oh my god, if AMA crosses this branch, then you shoot up, and then if something else happens, like RSI drops, then you exit. That is again kind of trying to replicate the existing quantitative simple strategies inside a very powerful thinking brain. So like I hope they will go into the direction of trading rules. So because that is the real power of LLMs, the trading rules and the trading logic while in the position. Signal does not matter that much.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess ultimately the litmus test of really any of this is does it make money, right? There's table stakes. So you can paper trade all you want with this, but at the end of the day, right, it's like people are here to trade, they're here to make a profit, and whatever that system is, it needs to be able to achieve that goal, right?
I agree. We're absolutely that is so. About the launch we're about to do, the LLM agent that you can make yourself, is I think the most interesting launch for me ever. Why? Because we're given something very kind of very structured, and yet you can steer it in so many directions to the people, and I'm so eager to see how will people use it, and who will be the best person to figure out what is the best way to use LLM in order to basically be profitable with the financial market. I bet somebody will be loading like PDFs and PDFs of data. Somebody will just say something like, hey, just go make me money. And the ones who will succeed, we're actually planning a program to reward the people who are successful at making good agents. They will be either receiving some kind of prizes, or they will have an ability to post their agent so that others can join up, and these guys can earn something in addition. Because we are too curious. We have our own way of doing that, but is this the only way? No. So we're trying to make it kind of like a Swiss Army knife with having all the possible functionality, but it's going to be up to a human of what's going to be his build, so to speak.
Yeah.
So I'm fascinated. Can't wait. I want to launch as soon as possible, but I still have a few things to do.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, one of the things that I think with any trading bots that you look at this, right? It's people have a lot of different motivations for getting into it. Right? Some of them, they like the concept. I'm not sure how you would whether you would necessarily define such a thing as, say, copy trading, for instance, as a trading bot, but it's some sort of an automated solution for this. Inevitably, though, at least in my observations within the space, these many bots seem to fail when it comes to live markets, right? Even bots, that have passed backtesting guidelines and everything like that, when they get promoted to the big leagues, if you want to look at it that way, they don't seem to perform. Why do you think that is?
There are several reasons for that. When we're talking about something that is being backtested and then it doesn't work, there is a concept called backtest overfitting. That is when you're trying, so you have an idea and then you try to simulate it in the past and it doesn't work, and then you tweak a little bit and you try it again and you tweak a little bit and then eventually it works. So that doesn't work because you have found something that is profound and incredible. No, what you just did, you backtest overfitted, which means you tried to pass so many times and just by chance some of that would work. But naturally, we see this from countless experiments. It does not produce good results when you actually launch it to live. So it has nothing to do with it being live or backtested market, because it's still data in the end of the day for this agent, right? Sure. It's still incoming data. But the way that you make it matters. It matters. It matters that you only test one time on your selected data set. One time, not more. And we see that many post like great results. Oh my God, this backtest looks good. Yeah, sorry, anybody can produce that one. You can even produce that one with a simple if-else statement. If price grows 2%, buy, hold 1 hour or hold 2 hours, tweak those settings up, run it for 1,000 iterations, you will get a backtest that looks phenomenal. But try to launch it and you will fail.
Yeah. But when it comes to launching then, and in terms of Yeagers, right? So looking at the agents with that, you talked a lot about the customization, the number of bots, agents rather, that are available for that. What parameters, guardrails, think of it, I hate the term, but prompt engineering, if you will, goes into something like this from like the end user's perspective, that people can sort of have a grasp or an understanding of that. Because I think a lot of people will be questioning, okay, you see these agents out here, great, how do I know that this is going to perform versus how do I know that this one's just not going to go out and run away and lose all of my money?
Well, it's a valid question, and I think with any tool, doesn't matter if it's Yeagers or anything else, you do want to start with paper trading. So you do want to launch an agent on paper trading. Launch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20. The more the better, because you have more data to select from. You launch them, and then you see what they do. Are they performing? Are they not performing? Maybe they are performing, but they are doing such risky moves that the P&L line just jumps up and down, and you don't like that. You're more of a cautious type of agent manager, let's call it that.
Sure.
So it's very important to do it on a backtest, and whatever agent you will create, whatever agent we will create, a certain percentage of them will stop performing. It is absolutely inevitable. You cannot make an agent that will do unlimited amount of money in perpetuity.
Of course.
That's a dream come true. Maybe somebody will make it one day. We're not one of them.
Yeah.
But our dropout percentage is only around 15% so far. So whatever you do, it's important to set. You asked about the guardrails. We never allow LLM to enforce the guardrails, because LLMs are inherently, when you start building with them, you realize how not very smart they are. They're really bad at calling the right tools, but saying that they did call the right tools. So when it comes to something like risk management, you want to put it in hard code. If an agent loses $15, it deactivates. Doesn't matter if the LLM pleads the system to let it, go on. No, it doesn't work. You have to have a very concrete system that enforces it through hard-coded things based on its performance, volatility, whatever the user sets. So we do have that. We do have fully autonomous deactivation depending on your risk level for the agent. Tell it to deactivate if it loses $5. It will, no questions asked, deactivate if it loses $5.
Yeah.
Plus or minus maybe a couple of cents depending on the last transaction that it did.
Sure, slippage is a thing in any market.
Yeah. And then obviously every position has an enforceable stop loss. When the agent sets the stop loss, the other system that is a hard-coded system verifies the actual creation of the stop loss on the platform, and if it has failed to set the stop loss, the position simply closes down.
Okay.
No positions run without a stop loss.
Yeah. Okay. So essentially, people can put together a team of agents, if you want to sort of look at it that way, with different trading rules, etc. So it's kind of like, I don't know, your own autonomous fund or something like that.
Couch hedge fund, we call
Couch hedge fund.
That is, I'm glad you said that. This is kind of the dream that we want to give people. So think about any fund or any hedge fund. Is this just one trader trading? Is this just one quantitative strategy trading? No, it's always many. That is the true for any organization managing money. They always have a diversified portfolio of many different systems which are working towards the goal of making more money.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing here. If you're joining in, let's say if you're using trading bots, make like 10-20, diversify.
Yeah.
If you're using Yeagers and you're connecting agents, connect 10-20, diversify. If you're making LLM agents, do the same thing, because while one agent might be earning, another one might be losing, so you kind of stabilize your P&L curve. And nobody puts their eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
Right? That's kind of the oldest rule in the book.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't connect one agent.
One of the things I have seen a lot of lately, however, is these agent versus agent, trading leaderboards, right? And this is where people are sort of pitting one against another and trying to get up in order to earn rewards. Obviously, making money as part of the process, etc. with that as well. So I assume you've seen some of this, right? Yeah. And the performance can, from the outside at least, it can look like quite impressive. What's your opinion on this?
Yeah, we've been screening them very closely since the first LLM Arena came out. It was done by the company. I do not remember the name, but they're also kind of like a financial AI lab.
Right.
And they decided to give like 10K to each LLM and see what they do. And they gotten a lot of interest until all the bots lost money. But before that, it was very interesting to observe. Yeah. It was the first experiment of the kind. I respect these guys for doing that and actually wasting a lot of their own money on that experiment. It was really, really fun to watch. And for us, because my team is all quants, it was very interesting to see the charts and compare them to the actual market data. Because we've seen like millions and millions of charts of agent performance before, to us it was very definitive that it's a simple overfitted model.
Right.
It's just noise.
Yeah.
There was no signal, there was no decision making. Sometimes it would spike up because it went 20x leverage on Bitcoin this one day. So we knew back then already that there is no real predictive power. Now more of them are coming out, and we're seeing that they are doing it primarily for the same reason, because they're not selling any product currently in particular. They just pin out, let's say, Grok against Gemini against this, and then they see who is going to win.
Yeah.
From the behavior, we can see definitively there is no predictive power. None. It's either following the market, and if the market is moving up, they're trading long, their results can look very impressive because they all go with leverage.
Sure.
Bitcoin went like 10% up, 10x leverage, it's 100%.
Yeah.
But if you notice something, there's very interesting on the charts themselves. You can go ahead and look at one of those LLM arenas. The agents are extremely correlated with each other, meaning that they're mostly making the same decisions, even though we have different LLMs trained in different data, supposedly providing different outputs. And it's very interesting that they're biased in the same sort of way. Yeah. I don't see any risk control being implemented at all. It's majorly large P&L swings up and down. So we're super waiting for somebody to make an arena where people can submit those. Actually, we might do this. You know, we might do an arena like that, kind of user versus user, because we also have LLM agents. Yeah. But we have not. Yeah, we have not seen what if you differ the implementation of what you tell the agent. Like, how will it perform. Because so far it doesn't look impressive. My quants, when they looked at it, they're like, yeah, man, this is absolute bullshit. I'm like, yeah, I agree. I've seen these charts way too many times. So, but hey, somebody will crack this. Obviously, it's not only going to be us, and we're very, very happy. The world should move into that direction.
Yeah.